Hey, how's it going, guys? Mush back at it with another video. Epic Games Store has a ridiculous offering of free games right now. They are rounding out this holiday lineup of free games, and these free games are going to be available for the next week or so. And then I believe we go back to free games every week. So it's going to stop where you get free games every day, but they are ending on a big note. Again, offering you 3 free games and 3 really good games. At least 2 of them are really good, and then one of them's pretty decent as well. Also, I have an update on The Witcher 3. It is ridiculous. The numbers we are seeing for this game on Steam right now, literally unprecedented, and I'll talk about that. Yes, it's more of my Witcher 3 nut hugging, but anytime I get an opportunity for that, you guys know I'm gonna take it, so we'll talk about that. Also, ahead of CES 2020, AMD has put out a pretty interesting tweet that we'll look at the end of this video. But first up, we gotta talk these free games. Man, oh man, Epic Games Store killing it right now. I mean, I know people are not a fan of Epic Games at times, and I feel like I have to preface it every time I talk about the EGS freebies, because no matter how good they are, no matter how compelling they are, how great value it is, a lot of you guys are just gonna comment, oh, it's EGS, I'd rather pirate the game, or whatever the case may be. But this time, they're giving you 3 free games, including Darksiders War Mastered Edition, Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition, and then you get Steep on top of that. That's a Ubisoft game. Steep is okay, it's a decent game. However, Darksiders 1 and 2, those are some tremendous offerings. I love Darksiders 1. Often you'll hear it compared to a game that's like a cross between God of War and The Legend of Zelda. Now, whenever people say that, myself included, I like to add the fact that it is not anywhere near as good as those games. I mean, God of War and The Legend of Zelda are elite caliber game series, and I wouldn't put Darksiders quite at that tier. However, they are very good games. Gameplay is great, story is pretty good, and it's great to see the resurgence of this franchise as well, with Darksiders 1 and 2 obviously being free right now, but Darksiders 3 came out, wasn't received that well, but I thought it was a pretty decent little game. And then Darksiders Genesis as well. Darksiders Genesis was awesome, and the franchise seems to be back in full force. Hopefully we'll see Darksiders 4 at some point as well, but Darksiders 1, a freebie right now, that's great. Darksiders 2, I didn't like as much as Darksiders 1, but it's a great game in its own right, and it definitely has a lot to like from it as well. A lot of the fundamentals from Darksiders 1 are also retained, so that's a great freebie on top of that. And then you've got Steep in there as well. Steep was a game that I wasn't a big fan of, but it's a pretty good little Ubisoft title, and I feel like for people that are into the genre, into that extreme sports style of stuff, you're gonna like Steep. It does have a massive open world across the Alps where the powder is always fresh and the run never ends. At least that's what it notes. Game has gotten better and better. It's very much in that Ubisoft MO of it makes a lot of progress as it's been released, and Steep definitely did have that. There was a lot of DLC released as well, but a lot of free updates were rolled out as well. So a lot of good stuff there, and Steep is a game that is definitely advantageous if you do play it with a couple of friends, and as a free offering, hey, you can jump in with a couple of friends and you can enjoy that game together. All 3 of those games being free is ridiculous. There were rumblings about the free game offerings ending altogether. I really hope that's not the case, because that has been one of the drawing factors of EGS. I know, selfish for me to say, yeah, give us free games, spend all your money to offer us more free games, but they really do need to do stuff like this because there is a negative reception, and based on what I'm reading on social media, definitely more so positive reception when people saw this lineup of free games. Value is value, and the consumer is always going to take upon value, and hey, if this pushes Steam to do more compelling things, if they start offering free games, that would be incredible for the gaming industry altogether, and that would be incredible for consumers too, so let's hope to see all of that come to fruition. But those free games, again, will be available until January 9th. Alright, moving on from that, let's get into my seemingly daily discussion about Witcher 3 and how well it's doing. Now, the Witcher Netflix series came out, so this is a little bit more new and in the news, but there are some insane stats coming out for The Witcher 3. Now, it is a single-player game, and Witcher 3 has been finished for a long time. The DLC came out a few years ago, and while there have been mods released, there have been mods always released, so it's not like anything new has happened. Really, the only thing new that's happened is the Netflix series has come out, and the game just hit over 100,000 concurrent players on Steam. Now, why this is ridiculous is, again, because it's a single-player game, and this is actually the all-time peak for the game. Yes, 100,340 as of the recording of this video is the all-time peak for a single-player game. When do you ever see that happen in video games in general for a single-player game? A game peaking 5 years after release and hitting a new all-time peak? That is the power of this Netflix show. I didn't even think the Netflix show was that amazing. amazing. I thought it was okay. Does it rank among some of the best? I would probably put it in that second or third tier. Maybe some other people really, really liked it. Maybe some people just saw Witcher for the first time and realized, holy crap, this is awesome. Let me go play the game. Now, the game is obviously on sale as well, but think about that. It's got 100,000, north of 100,000 concurrent players on Steam. The game's on sale on GOG as well. I believe it's got a great deal on GOG. You could get the Witcher bundle for like under $30. That includes all 3 of the main games and Thronebreaker. The value is just absolutely insane, but I think numerically, this is really unprecedented. I don't remember any time in the past. Obviously, we've seen it with multiplayer games. A multiplayer game, something will happen, an expansion, an update, whatever the case may be. I'm sure No Man's Sky is hitting new peaks all the time in games like that. But for a single-player experience, when can you say a game 5 years after its original release, a couple years removed from the DLC wrapping up, and it hitting a new all-time peak? Again, I really think this is unprecedented. And it's a staggeringly high number, north of 100,000. That is insane to me. And just really cool to see this come to fruition and all the success that Witcher 3 is having. Look, I harken back to it all the time. The game is tremendous. It's a phenomenal single-player open-world RPG, and in my opinion, the argument is there to be made that it is a perfect representation of what a single-player experience should be. A fantastic open world, great visuals, great narrative. The gameplay's maybe not for everyone, but I think it's rather good, and there are a lot of mods to, refine the gameplay, refine the experience altogether. And Witcher 3 is one of those games that does have a sizable amount of longevity, so enough about the gushing of that. Some of you guys are probably sick and tired of that, but nonetheless, I feel like it was worth a mention. Alright, and lastly, the new year is finally here, which means the Consumer Electronics Show is quickly approaching. PC Gamer had the rundown on one of AMD's very interesting tweets, and AMD announced today that it will hold its CES press conference on January 6th at 2 p.m. Pacific time, and the tweet that they put out, I mean, is it a lot of promotional speak? Sure, but here I'll read it for you guys. At CES 2020, AMD will push the envelope yet again to make 2020 an incredible year for high-performance computing. Join us for our press conference on Monday, January 6th at 2 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube. So that's 5 p.m. Eastern. And again, AMD promising to push the envelope yet again, so there should be a sizable announcement coming out of CES. A few interesting reveals will probably be represented. It's likely that AMD will release 4th generation Ryzen CPUs sometime in 2020, so a CES announcement would make logical sense. They might want to wait a little bit longer, but hey, we could see that at CES, and Ryzen has really been killing it, and I think offering legitimate competition to Intel. Intel is still definitely the standout in terms of general consumers and the casual consumer being aware of it, but Ryzen has definitely offered something very compelling at a budget price point. A new Threadripper 3980X processor with 48 cores and 96 threads might be revealed, and that's coming off of evidence discovered in the latest version of CPU-Z. There could also be a few new graphics cards, which I think would be right up your guys' alley. AMD spent last year's CES talking about the Radeon 7, which was the company's first 7nm graphics card. At the very least, the recently leaked Radeon RX 5600 XT seems likely to be revealed at CES. And AMD is also very, very in partnership with the next generation console, so we'll see if they have any announcements regarding that as well. CES 2020 should be a big show with AMD having a big conference. We know that Sony's going to have a big conference, and that'll probably relate to a lot of stuff regarding the PlayStation 5. All of this stuff coming together early in 2020. 2020 in general is going to be a massive year for hardware, gaming, and everything in between. I'm going to do a separate video on that in the future, but 2020 is shaping up to be one of the biggest years for PC and gaming in general. It's just going to be a monster year with all of the ongoings, next generation consoles, more competition to Steam, Game Pass, subscription services. There's a lot to digest in 2020, and it's going to be an exciting year if nothing else, and AMD is prepping up a big show for CES 2020. And that's going to conclude this video, guys. Again, 3 free games available right now over on EGS. Darksiders War Mastered Edition, Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition, Steep, a lot of great stuff. Even if you're not the biggest fan of EGS, to get that many free games, that is always great. Witcher 3 hitting a new high of north of 100,000 players on Steam. That is a ridiculous number, and AMD is promising to push the envelope at CES 2020. Big announcements look to be coming on January 6th. I believe that's the day that Sony is also holding their conferences, so that is going to be a big news day come next Monday. That's going to wrap up this video. If you guys have a request for a future video, you can leave that in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.